guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Anna and I make New York City-based adventure videos flagged with love and positivity. Today, we're heading over to Chelsea, a neighborhood in Manhattan. We're gonna go explore the Rubin Museum first. I really hope that I can take some videos and photos in there, and if I can, then I'll show you. And then finally, go by the river and take a look at Little Island. Let's get going.
The easiest way to get to the museum is to take the 1 or 2 train and get off at 18th Street. Here we are in front of the Rubin Museum of Art. It showcases the art of Himalayan regions. The museum has been around since 2004. It was founded by Shelley and Donald Rubin, who over several decades had collected much Himalayan art. After the museum was opened, the Dalai Lama visited, blessed it, and thanked the Rubins for preserving Himalayan art. The museum is located in a space that was once Barney's department store. The staircase seen here in the center of the museum existed when the department store was functional. The staircase goes around clockwise. In Buddhism, walking clockwise around monuments is a known practice, so Mr. Rubin saw this as a fitting sign that the staircase should remain. The lobby is a wide open space and contains a gift shop and cafe. Let's take the stairs up to the 2nd floor. If you come here on a Saturday at 2 o'clock, you can catch the 45-minute tour. I do recommend you take advantage of it. It's nice to get a sense of the museum and understand what you're looking at. On the 2nd floor, we're greeted by a large map of Asia. The origins of Buddhism can be traced to what is today known as southern Nepal. The Buddha was originally a prince who lived a life of luxury and comfort until he observed the suffering of the world. He then dedicated himself to meditation until he reached enlightenment. Buddhas are enlightened beings. They can be identified by a cranial protuberance, elongated earlobes, and a hand touching the earth. Throughout the entire 2nd floor, you'll see figurines such as these. Bodhisattvas are awakened beings who aspire to attain enlightenment and help others achieve it. Tantric deities personify various enlightened qualities and can have many heads, arms, and legs, which symbolize their many abilities. Bodhisattvas and tantric deities can be depicted in female form. Just like their male counterparts, they embody enlightened qualities and can be both peaceful and wrathful in appearance. Here is the composition and structure of a painting to help us identify what we're looking at. The root deity is at the top, followed by the teachers, the central deity in the middle, and then the protectors at the bottom. This is a prayer wheel. After your prayer, you would spin the wheel, and for every time you spun it, you would get more merits. Stupas were originally burial mounds housing relics of the Buddha. They symbolize the mind of the Buddha attained at complete enlightenment. There are other fascinating pieces around the museum like this one, showing you the initial sketch that begins before a painting is completed. Layers are added onto it, and as you can see, with each progressive painting, it gets more and more detailed before the final copy is completed. Likewise, there's an intricate process involved in making the metal figurines I showed you earlier in this video. The gold is hollow on the inside, and as you can see, there's many steps taken to make the final product. The gold is poured within its casting, and then the outer and inner layers are removed. The 3rd floor was one of my favorites. Here were interactive activities that taught us about emotions and how we can make it through certain life events. by introspectively thinking about our feelings. For example, this green orb was supposed to signify you taking in positivity and appreciation for someone else's accomplishments instead of feeling jealous. We're taught that emotions like jealousy, envy, anger, and attachment are completely normal, and we may feel them from time to time. But we must also realize that there is more to ourselves and that our time will come, so there's no need to focus on these negative emotions. Here was another great exercise where you got a chance to strike the gong and release your anger. This was my first time striking the gong, but I really loved it. I did underestimate the force in my arms, so I did hit it a bit too hard. There was a beautiful shrine room set up on one of the floors of the museum. And this room was set up in such a way that you would only be able to see it in an affluent person's home. It was such a peaceful space and so ornately decorated. There were offerings and pictures on the walls, candles, and overall, the whole museum has such a peaceful vibe associated with it. It's such a nice place to come. Here's another great example of a peaceful part of the museum. This stupa is made of wax and is lit from within. Many stupas enshrine relics of sacred persons. I had showed you one made out of metal on the second floor. In religious practice, people walk around in a clockwise direction. That completes the 5th floor. Almost done with the entire museum. The museum has a total of 6 floors. Here you can see the dome that is on top of this spiral staircase. This central staircase reminds me of the Guggenheim Museum. Let's head on up to the 6th and last floor to see what's happening up there. This floor was called Healing Practices, and it was the floor that I was the most excited to see. The stories from Himalayan Americans in this section demonstrated how people engage in daily practices to pursue long, healthy lives in times of joy and crisis for themselves and others. There was talk of medicine and longevity practices and other forms of healing. Overall, I enjoyed the museum a lot. Every single floor had a different theme. The tour of the place was excellent, and we learned a lot about meditation and the Buddha, other deities, and healing practices. I do recommend you come here. You can finish the whole museum in about 2.5 hours if you take your time. After visiting, if you're hungry, you can walk over to Chelsea Market, which is not too far away from the museum, and get some food. Stay tuned for next week's video when we tour Chelsea Market. Coming up next is Little Island, which is a 5-minute walk away from Chelsea Market. Here we are at Little Island. It's an artificial island park which opened in May of 2021. It's a public park located in Hudson River Park. There are rolling hills, much greenery, pathways to different lookout points, and an amphitheater for music, dance, theater, poetry, and comedy events. These are supposed to be tulips. Tulip flowers.
I see it. It's like the bulbs from the bottom.
280 individual piles come together to form the undulating topography of the park.
I think that's where the bathrooms are.
They look like tulips emerging from the water and connecting at the top. There's a few options. You can pick whether you want to take the stairs or the ramp up to the top. As you get closer to the top peaks on the island, you can begin to see the city views from afar and Jersey across the river. If you look down to the open space below where there's no grass, in that section there are seating areas and food vendors during the summer. The umbrellas open up and you could sit there in the shade and have some food. During the summer, there isn't much shade on the island. Although there's a lot of vegetation, there are not very many tall, big trees to offer you much shade. So do bring water with you and a cap. Looking south, you can see One World Trade Center in the distance. There it is, the tallest building in this portion of the city skyline. Very tiny, off in the distance, you can see the Statue of Liberty. There it is, in the middle. I nearly missed it myself, but there are a lot of landmarks that you can see from Little Island. Looking back towards the city, you can spot the Whitney Museum of Modern Art. There it is. Here are the views across the Hudson River of Jersey. You can't see the Palisades from here, but if you go up north on the Jersey side, you will reach the Palisades. They are beautiful stone cliffs and you can go hiking there. In Jersey, there is a city called Hoboken, from which you can take a kayak and observe the city skyline from the water. It's a beautiful tour and I do recommend that you try it out. I'll leave the place to Resilience Water Sports, which is the business I went kayaking with, in the description box down below, as well as links to the museum. Here's the amphitheater, an open space for performances. Singing, dancing, and poetry events take place here. Looking back at the city skyline, we can see the Empire State Building right there. These buildings are next to the High Line, an elevated park. The building on the right goes right on top of the High Line. Stay tuned for my other videos where we explore the High Line. Looking forward, we can see the Edge NYC, where you can step on a glass platform and look all the way down. If you're looking for a public restroom, you don't have to look too far. There's one right on Little Island. I thought this bathroom design was very cool. On the ceiling, it looked very grainy, like sand. Leave it to me to show you all the hidden spots, including the bathrooms. Walking back towards the subway, I saw this really cute restaurant. It's such an eye-catching place, don't you think? Alright. On my way home, I spotted a performer in the subway system. Most of them are very talented. I'll leave the places we visited today linked in the description box down below, along with some of my other content. Thanks so much for watching this week's vlog. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Don't forget to join me on Instagram at Miss Anna Adventures for more New York City content. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!